What's up? Monday night raw in the Earlverse. Hope you guys are doing well. We're starting a little bit later than normally. Just want to see what it's like when we start at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Kate Cantos, I believe you might be new to the stream. Welcome. And hop on in. We do tight streams here in the Earlverse. We don't do money grabbing streams. We're an open forum in my stream chat. We talk about anything: hockey, wrestling, politics, stand up comedy. Oh, then we do know Jay Santos. Welcome aboard. We welcome all people under assumed names, aliases, fake names, whatevers. Um, and I'm sure someone is streaming right now as we speak, but I don't give a fuck. Yes, Monday Night with Earl, 6 p.m. version. Last couple nights I've tried 5 p.m. and it's been okay. But I figure let's see what it's like an hour later. Maybe it's better, maybe it's worse, maybe it's about the same. I kind of look like Michael Cohen, which is scary to me right now. I love how Michael Cohen is now the media darling of the left. And I'm also wondering if most of the left doesn't realize this is the guy who was Trump's fixer. And now all of a sudden he's your best buddy. Shit. Gino goes on at 8:30, so that would be in another half hour. I love Gino. I don't like some of the words he uses, but ACDC 5150. It's like I've said before. I think when I first started being monetized streaming, I was like trying to be respectful of everyone uh, and be like, well, if so and so is streaming, I won't stream, and then I just realized it's not very plausible. If you go by um, from like I live in LA, as you guys know, I wake up and it's 6 a.m. Melton and Shuley um, start at 6 a.m. my time. And then I think Chad was on today at about 11 a.m. my time. And then obviously Kevin from 1 to 4, maybe a little after. And then Ray goes on. And then Gino goes on. And I'm sure Pat Dixon is on Rumble at some point. And, at some point I got to go on and then just, I don't think people are going to mind if I am taking 5 people from their room. So I do what I do and hopefully it builds and, we take it from there. And plus, I also realize I'm realistic. I know I'm late to the monetized streaming game. So although I thought I would be doing a little bit better than I am, you know, it's just the way it is. I'm literally, out of all the Dabbleverse people and Dabbleverse adjacent people, uh, I'm literally last in line when it comes to streaming. Uh, I don't even know Brendan Schaub had a new podcast. I would go on his podcast though. Someone asked me that the other day. I got no personal problem with him. Um, you know, like I said, I don't think he's very funny, but he also doesn't put in the work. He was lucky enough to have a pretty big fan base already just on his own MMA career. And, obviously he got piped in with Rogan post MMA career. It's the biggest fan base there is. So, I could understand why he didn't do the work. Our first super chat. Is that a real one? I just got to check with you, Jay Santos. I'm just busting balls. Jay Santos, 4.99. Show of appreciation, Daddy Man. Exactly. Thank you very much, Jay Santos. That's your third super chat. I appreciate everyone. Believe me. Um, I agree with you, Boulder Johnny. I think, obviously I'm not that known of a comic, but I think once I get my fans on board, it should be doing better than it is. And I'm trying to get the wrestling fans in here arguing with each other. I'm trying to get, um, hockey fans coming in. And get the political people coming in here. This is literally like a Walmart. You walk into this Earlverse stream, and there's something for everyone. And I realize a lot of you don't like AEW, or it's not even that you don't like it; you just don't watch it. So, uh, yeah, I would love to be on Ariel because I'd like to rebut CM Punk, not Bunk, CM Punk's interview the other day, because I know a lot of people in AEW, and like they've all said the same thing about CM Punk. Like nobody likes the guy. Um, so in that situation now, Dynamite will be very interesting because the Young Bucks are going to air supposedly footage of um, the CM Punk Jack Perry incident at London. So, and I think a lot of people on Twitter today are. Um, you know, kind of bitching at the Bucks, saying, "Well, why are they talking about something? Why are they talking about a guy who is in the other company? This is literally free advertising for CM Punk." But like CM Punk brought it up again, so um, I think it's fair for both parties to sit there and talk about it. ACDC 5150, isn't the strip club scene in wildlife one of the greatest in movie history? Do you think comedian on Fox News sucks like I do? Brutal to watch. Thank you, ACDC 5150. I'm gonna have to keep the super. I'm gonna have to keep the ray gun here for the super chats. They're coming in fast and furious. I mean, I don't like to talk numbers, but it's $10 in 8 minutes. That's a lot of money. Well, it's actually 9.98, but I didn't watch WrestleMania either night. In terms of, I'm assuming you are talking about Gutfeld and the comics on that. I mean, that's a show that's obviously based around Gutfeld, who's probably the least funniest guy on the panel. So I'm sure it's a thing where like the comics have to kind of cuck to him, and you know, it's almost like Comics Unleashed. It's like a. Don't get me wrong, I'd like to be on it, but it's kind of like a bad version of Comics Unleashed, and that big wrestling, I think his name's Titus. You think I would know being such a wrestling fan. I don't think he's that funny, but he's like the star of the show. So that's, on basically what is a comedy show, when Titus is like, the go-to guy on the show, that's not a good sign. It would be like if this was a wrestling uh, version of Gutfeld, and I was the go-to guy for wrestling talk. Like, okay, well, you don't really wrestle, so why the hell should we listen to you? Um, but I would like to. Oh no, I mean, I just think that um, Tyrus. It's nothing. I've never met him, but it's just like when he's the go-to guy, that's not good. Like, there's some very funny comics on that. Adam Hunter, Jamie LaSalle, and a few other people. Of course, some of the political people. They're given lines to say. Um, but I'd like to be on it. Be a nice TV credit to get on Fox. I mean, listen, whether you like Fox or not, they're still number one in the ratings. I believe, and I think Gutfeld is. I mean, at this point, I'd almost rather get on Gutfeld than a late night stand up spot. Um, so the hell is going on here? There's supposed to be no construction after 6. Um, but welcome to my building. Um, I mean, I think Gutfeld's so bad he's good. It's like Gutfeld's like when Johnny Carson would bomb, it was funny. Uh, but yeah, I don't like seeing Norton on what's going on here. We'll just hold for sound, as they say in the business. Seeing Norton on like basic cable is it's like seeing Goodfellas on Channel 2, where they take out all the cuss words. Um, he's still funny, but it's a little rough. Um, you know, Norton's great on like Kill Tony or Opie and Anthony. Well, Opie and Anthony's not around, but like he was great on that because he was uncensored, unfiltered. Yeah, you'd think the way that I mean, what kind of construction starts at what time is it? I'm What kind of construction starts at 6:14? Um, but welcome to West Hollywood, I guess. Um, so who knows? I mean, listen, if you saw what goes on my street, it's uh, it's the real deal in my neighborhood. Hey, hit the like button while you can. I mean, 6:15 at night on a Monday. They literally just started. This will give people who stream snipe me something to talk about. By the way, when you're stream sniping my stream with 7 people in it, you've hit rock bottom. And I don't mean Ray DeVito. Hello. Hopefully that stops. But it probably won't. Um, yeah, right. It really, they're Dexter, West Hollywood. Um, yeah, but I'm sure, as you get older, Norton is probably sick of doing that style of trying to shock the audience and whatnot. Plus, he's married now, and um, it's just, I guess you grow up and you get older, and you're like, I don't want to talk about being blown at a truck stop anymore. Thank you, guys. Thank you for hitting the like button. There's 8 people in here right now. There should be 8 likes. And although ACDC 5150 and Jay Santos have financially contributed, for those of you who can't, you can still hit the like button. That is free. Oh, I'm sorry, ACDC 5150. You got me sidetracked with the Guffeld. Great scene with many great appearances in that particular scene. You have Angel Salazar from Scarface and Comedy Store Paid Regular. You've got Eric Stoltz. You've got Michael Bowen, who was the bad guy in Valley Girl. You've got the Predator. Kevin Peter Hall as the strip club bouncer. And you've got iconic big busted actress Kitten Natividad as the stripper Angel Salazar is in the kiddie pool with. I got Visa, I got Master Charge. Um, I did not cave and watch Cody last night. I'm surprised that the movie The Wildlife did not do better. Look at the cast in that movie. You've got Eric Stoltz, Leah Thompson, the great and villainous Hart Bachner, course, many of you know him as Ellis from Die Hard. Um, Michael Bowen, the bad guy from Valley Girl, and Valley Girl, I think, was a year before this movie. So, he was pretty hot. He was like the basically the probably competing with William Zabka for the bad guy roles of that time. And of course, inappropriate Earl alumni Jenny Wright and Rick Moranis, like some cool um, cameos. Ron Wood of the Rolling Stones, Lee Ving from the band Beer. But it just didn't. I don't know. I mean, it was 2 years after Fast Times at Ridgemont High, a year after Valley Girl. So those movies were kind of in vogue at the time. The teenage romp comedies. Probably 2 years after, maybe 2 or 1 year after Porky's 2. So it just didn't do well. Good cast, like good acting. I mean, for a teenage romp movie, Elin Mitchell Smith, another one, Randy Quaid. Like that's a great cast. Probably one of the better cast of that genre of movies. Yes, hot take. Kip Smith, my moderator and partial co-leader of the Earlverse stream thumbnails. Stoltz is overrated and not leading man worthy ever. I got to disagree with you on that one. I love Eric Stoltz as an actor, and that was probably a little before he had just filmed like I think it's like 60 to 70% of Back to the Future, and they had to scrap it. Like and if you watch some scenes of Back to the Future, you see Eric Stoltz, like, they use the back of his head in some shots. They just I don't know. It's not that Spielberg was cheap, but it's like, okay, we don't really need Michael J. Fox. Uh, so I'm sure they were trying to save a few bucks here and there. Um, Earl, did you like Bill Murray as a comedian? I don't really count him as a comedian. To me, he's a comic actor. Lee Ving was a great Mr. Body. I don't know what that means. But he was also in one of my favorite guilty pleasure Ken Wall movies, Escape from Beverly Hills, as the dirty cop. Um, I mean, I thought, yeah, I mean, it is kind of a loose sequel to Fast Times, but there's no crossovers. Like, um, it's not like Chris Penn's name in the movie was Tom Spicoli. He was basically playing Jeff Spicoli. I mean, I don't. Maybe they tried to get the names, and was it Martha Coolidge said no, I don't want any association, or Amy Heckerling. I think one of those two did Fast Times, and the soundtrack was brilliant. If you like 80s driven keyboard rock stuff, and I think a lot of the soundtrack to the Wildlife were basically demos for instrumental demos for Van Halen's next album, and first album was Sammy Hagar. Um, so I think the guy who played Robert Romanus, I gotta say negatory on that one. I mean, I think Eric Stoltz was just, he was right, in the '80s, in the mid, say Fast Times to say Some Kind of Wonderful. I guess you could say Pulp Fiction. Um, it just seems like he was just on the edge of being that leading guy, like just um, like needed the right role to break him, and he probably got it with Back to the Future. But I think Spielberg's on record for saying the only reason they did a restart to Back to the Future with Michael J. Fox is they always wanted Michael J. Fox. He was the first choice. And then I believe he couldn't get out of his contract, or he couldn't find the time with Family Ties going at the same time. So, it's very similar to the James Bond roles of that time, where you had Roger Moore wanting to leave the franchise, I think around Octopussy. and then they wanted Pierce Brosnan, but he couldn't get out of Remington Steele, and then they wanted Timothy Dalton, and I think someone high up in the broccoli world was like, uh, let's just keep doing it with Roger Moore, especially when Sean Connery did his comeback. And like, we're going to need Roger Moore instead of Timothy Dalton. So they did, I think, View to a Kill with an older Roger Moore. I think he was 59 years old when View to a Kill was. So it wasn't really believable that Roger Moore was some like big ass kicker back then. And then they got Timothy Dalton. So I think something happened with Michael J. Fox where he could finally, um, I think halfway into filming with Eric Stoltz, they got him and they're like, let's just fucking. I think Eric Stoltz, he's a better actor than Michael J. Fox. That's arguable, but to me, he's the better actor, but he's not funny. Like Michael J. Fox is funnier. And that's what Back to the Future was looking for. They weren't looking for uh, McFly to be some serious dramatic actor, which I think Eric Stoltz's take was. Uh, yeah, hello, ACDC. This guy listens. Oh, okay. See, I haven't seen Clue in so long. But Lee Ving was I think he was the TV repairman in The Wildlife. And then in Escape from Beverly Hills with Ken Wall, he was the dirty cop. And what was the plot of Escape from Beverly Hills? I think they were trying to rob every bank in Beverly Hills, so they faked a chemical explosion, and I think Lee Ving was the head dirty cop, and Ken Wall was like a retired football player who saved the day. I mean, it's a pretty forgettable movie, and prime Ken Wall, right in the height of or maybe toward the tail end of Wise Guy in its prime. I think it might have been before his accident. So, um, just another, the 80s were wild with some of the movies they made. Um, and Ken Walsh should have been, I thought, a movie star. But one of those guys, doesn't translate from TV to film, like David Caruso, great actor. Talk about Eric Stoltz. No, that's Ken Reeves was the White Shadow guy. Ken Wall was on the very famous TV show Wise Guy. And then I believe Ken Wall got into some kind of an accident, kind of Gary Busey style. And then, they just uh, he couldn't recover I think they brought Wise Guy back and it just didn't work. Lee Ving and Chris Penn were watching Magnum Force, great Clint Eastwood movie. Um, I mean, Fear's still touring. I think my friend just saw them and said I mean, Lee Ving's a survivor, man. If you were a punk rock icon in the 80s, not many of those cats around, male or female. So, White Shadow, great TV show. But you guys know my thoughts on the White Shadow already. One of my early comedy influences, to be honest with you. Just such a good, just like the groundbreaking TV show, and especially that it was on Channel 2 on a Monday night. There was no FX, there was no FXX, there was no HBO Max. There was really no cable network that you could throw that on. Um, you know, that would do it justice. So the fact that they covered topics like rape and abortion and stuff like that on prime time, going up against basically, I think, the fourth quarter of Monday Night Football, uh, pretty innovative. So I was on what was it, the Babe Ruth TV movie many moons ago with Stephen Lang as Babe Ruth, and I was one of the Yankees, and Mark Tinker, who I think wrote and produced a lot of the episodes of The White Shadow. We had some good talks in between takes. He's like, "You like that show?" I'm like, "Come on, man." It was filmed at my high school. A little White Shadow trivia. Carver High was actually Notre Dame High School on Riverside and Woodman. Now, the funny thing is, Carver High was supposed to be a school essentially in the ghetto, and there were not a lot of African Americans at Notre Dame High, which is why our football team sucked. Hello. Great baseball team, though. We were number one in the nation um, my freshman year, of course, with six pack Jack McDowell, future Cy Young Award winner, leading the way. And to see uh, Jack McDowell pitch as a teenager, like it was unfair. Like he was throwing 90 miles an hour plus fastballs versus kids with acne. And it was pretty impressive. And now he's a big music guy, I think, which is cool. His brother Jim McDowell, who I believe was his agent, um, taught me freshman algebra. Great guy, Slim Jim McDowell. Um, that was kind of cool. I don't think they used the basketball. The gym, I don't believe, was Notre Dame High. They that was probably. I mean, CBS had the money. That was probably a sound stage, but yeah, Jack McDowell. I took freshman basketball class with an eighth period, um, which was wild that you could get a credit for basketball class. And all the seniors were in there. So Jamie Dixon was in that class. Of course, he's a very famous, or whatever you want to call it, well-known basketball coach today. Jack McDowell, and then basically all the varsity basketball players and me. I don't know how I got in this class. Um, and I remember my first, it's so funny how you can remember things so vividly. First day of freshman high school for me. I'm nervous. I don't know really very many people in this school. It's a pretty big school, probably 800 to 1,000 people. I think there may have been 2 to 3 people from my grade school who went there. Because I was a West Side guy, and Notre Dame High is in the Valley, so not a lot of kids who went to grade school in Beverly Hills were going to go to this high school. So I didn't know very many people there, and so we're playing pickup basketball after school had ended, the whole basketball class. And I remember it was me and Jamie Dixon as the guards, and so we're high up at where would be a 3-point line, and Jamie Dixon passes me the ball, and he kind of yells at me, "Shoot it!" And I shot an air ball by like fucking 5 feet. Let's just say Jamie Dixon didn't pass me the basketball again. Um, but it was a fun class. A lot of cut ups in that class. Like it was kind of very white shadowy. There was a Italian kid in there, total salami. Um, Oh, okay, yeah, I mean, but Notre Dame's a fairly big high school, and now I drive by it, and if you're ever in the Valley, if you ever are here visiting, not that you would go to the Valley to, you know, visit something, there's not really a lot of landmarks, a couple movie studios, but that's about it. Um, it's on the corner of Riverside and Woodman, and it's so technologically advanced now, it looks like a college campus. I mean, the baseball field looks like a minor league baseball stadium. The football field, I can't say it looks like a college football stadium, but it's very nice. And the campus is beautiful. And no, I was not friends with the Menendez brothers, but about the same age. I think I might have been maybe a smidge older, maybe a year, maybe the same age as the older Menendez brother. But we probably were in the same nightclub and same gym, at the same time. Because if you were a Beverly Hills kid, you worked out at this place called Family Fitness on Pico and Roxbury, Baby Doll, prime Beverly Hills, right below Beverly Hills High School. So all the kids from Beverly Hills High went there. What a real rowdy gym that was. You had Robert Downey in his prime drug days working out there. You had just a real, yeah, prostitutes working out there. It was not a expensive gym. It was basically like maybe a slightly higher grade Planet Fitness, but in Beverly Hills, and you know all the all the employees were fucking. Like it's like the mad rush to meet the new front desk girl. My first boss there was Stanley Wilson, the Cincinnati Bengal running back who got suspended the night before the Super Bowl because he was on the yayo. And so I go down to meet him, and he's asleep on the life cycle. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a pretty cool job. It really was. I mean, and probably one of the funniest things I've ever seen was there used to be this like 80-year-old dude named Ben there, and he was one of the coaches on the U.S. boxing team. Like he coached Mark Breland and people of that era. And one day there was this really cocky kid who was essentially like, "I can beat your ass." And so they started sparring in there wasn't like a boxing ring downstairs, but there was a boxing room. And Ben put him on the floor in one punch to the liver. And he was a big guy too. This kid, he's probably like 6'3", I don't know, 200 pounds, and Ben was like, he was pretty old, 80, pot belly, looked like someone you'd see at a lawn bowling field, smoking cigars. They had places like the Regal Beagle. Stanley Wilson, Ross. Stanley Wilson. I don't remember the story that well, but I believe he was suspended the night before the Super Bowl for being blasted out of his mind. Uh, so um, and he was a big dude. I mean, I remember like, oh God, I can remember it like it was 2 seconds ago. I walked down the stairs because the gym was downstairs, and just to see this hulking giant black dude just asleep on the life cycle. Well, you got to remember that was a minimum wage job back then, and that's probably when minimum wage was maybe $7, if not lower. I actually think minimum wage was, I want to say, $5 and a quarter. This is '89, so SCV. Yes, that was a huge case back in the day in my area. Um, Larry Dallas, biggest cock swinger sitcom history. Oh, 100%. 100%. Um, yeah, I'm not sure what happened to Stanley Wilson. Hey, hit the like button, guys, please. Earl, any thoughts on the recent CM Punk interview with Ariel Helwani when he poops figuratively, not Vince like on Tony Khan and AEW? See, this is what I like, a question like this. I mean, I know. I think I said it. You might just EZC321. They talked about it a little bit right when the stream started, but I know a lot of people in AEW, people behind the scenes on the current roster. Some of them very high up on the roster. I'm not trying to brag. It's all good. No need to apologize. When I only have 17 people in the stream, I can't really be too aggressive towards anyone. Please don't leave. Um, and if you do leave, hit the like button on your way out. Hello. Um, and I've done my internal Earl polls, and I would say that I've asked probably 15 or so people, hey, give me your thoughts on CM Punk. And they've all said the same thing. Guy's a dick. Now, if you look at who we know he's had a problem with, I'll try and do this off of memory. He's got a problem with Cardona, got a problem with Omega, the Young Bucks, um, Hangman Page, Ryan Nemeth. And when you have a problem with when 5, 6 people have a problem with the same person, usually that one person is probably um, not necessarily the one to blame, but like, I mean, how many people have you heard have a problem with Kenny Omega? Now, a lot of people are like, well, that's unfair to say it's 5 or 6 people when the Bucks, Omega, and Hangman are, really one person. How many people have you heard have a problem with Hangman Page? Now, Jack Perry, I've heard a few things that he's cocky and kind of a dick backstage. I'll guess it's like, hey, my dad's Luke Perry. I don't need to do this shit. Um, but add Jack Perry to the list. And really, how many people have you heard have a problem with Jack Perry? Like, I think maybe Tony Schiavone, if you believe what CM Punk said, had a problem with Jack. But it's still CM Punk is the common denominator. And if you look at his time pre AEW and WWE, he had problems with a lot of people there. So um, I am a little more apt to believe that CM Punk's the problem. Now he's been pretty good in WWE so far, but he's not really needed there. He's not the number one guy. He's not even close to being the number one guy. So I don't have any problem with because AEW's gotten a lot of shit today. Um, oh, why are you bringing up CM Punk? You're just doing free advertising for WWE and CM Punk. But CM Punk's allowed to talk about um, the incident and bring it up again. I have no problem with the Young Bucks, and the Young Bucks have been they don't have the best reputation, for being the greatest to work with backstage. Politicking the EVPs. I mean, it's an angle now, basically their gimmick. Um, and Omega, I think, gets thrown in there with that. I mean, it is sad because I think, and this will probably be the only positive thing I'll ever say about Vince McMahon, but if Vince McMahon was in charge of AEW before the London card, he sits down CM Punk, he sits down Kenny Omega, and goes, guys, you're the main event. You guys may hate each other. You might not want to work with each other, but you guys are going to make money on this angle. It's like, with Matt Hardy, Lita, and Edge. Lita was cheating on Matt Hardy with Edge. They turned it into an angle, and it's one of the more memorable angles in WWE history. So I think that now the only potential problem I see with a CM Punk Kenny Omega match is that I don't know if Punk physically could keep up with Omega. I mean, even this version of Omega, who's breaking down a little bit. I mean, it's just your body will break down doing that style for so long. Um, but I think even this slightly incapacitated Omega could still do most of the heavy lifting with Punk, and it would have been a great fucking match. Like, but you know, uh, Tony Khan is not running the company like Vince McMahon. I mean, Vince don't give a fuck. Like, if you guys hate each other, you're going to be in a match with each other. Where Tony Khan's like, we'll just create collision for CM Punk, so he doesn't have to be around Omega in the box. Vince McMahon would not have created collision. He said, you guys are going to get along, and we're going to do it on TV every week until it gets old. But yeah, Tony Khan really shit the bed on that. But so did Vince. Hello. So, Nick, you say Teddy Hart. I don't know what you mean by that. Did he have a problem with CM Punk too? So, that's my thoughts on the. I mean, I'll definitely be watching Dynamite to see what goes on now. Others have said, forget the footage from London. Show the footage before that with Omega and the Bucks brawling with CM Punk because probably Brandon Cutler was taping that whole thing. Ex Comedy Store Wrestling Podcast alumni Brandon Cutler. So there's probably footage of that too. That's the footage I want to see. But I don't know. I know there's been some NDAs that have been discussed in regards to that um, situation. So I don't know if they legally can um, just show that footage. But I would hope they would, because that to me is the better footage. Um, And I'm interested. Jack Perry at some point will come back. So you talk about a money match, Jack Perry and CM Punk. Like if either one was ever in the other's company, I don't see WWE signing Jack Perry. They don't really need to, but and I definitely don't think that um, CM Punk will ever be in AEW again. But never say never. You know. Yes, that's a random. Yes, Judas Priest is touring. Yes, no Dookie arrangement. Thank you, Fitzpatrick. Yeah, I don't know if I'll see Judas Priest again. I mean, I don't really count it as Judas Priest without Glenn Tipton and KK Downing, but nothing against the two guys, Andy and Richie on guitar. They're great guitar players, but it's almost like a cover band now. But I mean, I get it though. Like, I mean, Glenn Tipton, I believe, has Parkinson's. So like I'm like, there's nothing funny about that. Um, and KK Downing, they don't get along. Him and I'm assuming Rob Halford, and so um, I get it. I mean, I used to see bands not get along, like Rat, and you go like, why can't you guys just get along, man? The four out of the five surviving members of the classic lineup, and obviously Carlos Cavazo would fill in for Robin Crosby. Just I don't know, take five buses or five cars to the gig. You literally don't have to be around each other except for the hour and a half on stage. But after my experience on Roast Battle and other TV shows, I understand now. Like it's easy for people on the outside to say, "I just get along." But like, if you don't like someone, um, and you feel you've been wronged, obviously Blotzer and Piercy will just never get along again. So I get it. Wade Cool Jr. I disagree. ACDC 5150. I think Wade Cool Jr. is kind of probably Rat's bluesiest song. Great guitar intro. I think it's kind of a sleazy blues song. That was probably Rat going, "Hey, we want to show we're musicians too." Heard it came from Memphis, somewhere down south. Started hanging with the blues crowd. That's how he got that crazy sound. What is all this talking going round? Steel guitar strapped across his back. Way Cool Jr. The hottest thing to ever hit this town. Got some horns in there too. Good video. Of course, hot girls. So I don't mind Way Cool Jr. Is it the greatest song of all time? Probably not. But I thought for Rat, it's one of their more serious songs. Speaking of serious, let's thank the tippers tonight. Jay Santos and ACDC 5150. I appreciate your generosity. We got 21 people in here. How about getting 21 likes? I do like Nobody Rides for Free, but that was clearly when Robin Crosby had checked out. Skid Row doesn't accept to have Sebastian back. Yeah, it's not going to happen. Like they're going to sell the same amount of tickets. To be honest with you, it's not like Sebastian Bach joins the band and they're playing arenas again. And I think Snake Sabo and Rachel Bolan are probably like, it's just we're not going to deal with the headache to make another $1,200 a show. They would literally be still be playing House of Blues type um, venues, and um, I don't think their guarantee would be. It would be more, but it's almost like why Brett Michaels doesn't really tour with Poison anymore. Um, like why tour with Poison and split the money four ways via tour with the Brett Michaels band, play the same songs, and get probably literally 90% of the money. Like I get it. Like it sucks to be a fan of Poison. It's the same thing with Rat. Like, why doesn't Rat, the four out of the five surviving members, you know, if you're Stephen Piercy, you're going to have to split that money three ways, and probably Cavazo gets a little less just because he's not an original member. Um, why do that? Say you're getting, say, I don't know what Piercy gets paid, but I'll guess If Rat played the whiskey, maybe they get 25 grand, and you split it 3 ways, managers, agents get their cut. So each guy's probably getting, I don't know, 3 to 4 grand for that gig. But if you're Piercy, why not just play with your own band? You're gonna sell out the whiskey because he is the voice of Rat, and you probably get paid 10 grand, but Piercy gets, say, 7,500 of that. Like, I'd do the same thing probably. I love that song "Dance." Very funny video. Now, I was watching that video, AC/DC 5150. You might know. William Zoom would probably know. The guy who brings him up on stage, I'm trying to figure out if that was WWF wrestler Johnny Valiant. He was funny in that video. Come on, guys, get up, get up. 18 in Life, great song. I Remember You. I love that's my favorite Skid Row song. Yeah, I mean, Dylan, that's a lot of money. They're getting a lot of shit for it. But, hey, man, Kiss has had a very long career, 50 years, $300 million. Now, the funny thing is, I don't think people realize you thought Kiss over merchandised. You know that whoever bought that catalog, they're going to want their money back. Clearly, someone thought, okay, we'll give them 300 million and we got to put them on everything now to make our money back. So Kiss will be in more movies in terms of their songs, TV shows. There'll be more products than ever. They're going to make Gene Simmons seem like self-contained. Um, so I think that it could be a good thing. I mean, I don't think they'll. I mean, I can't imagine Kiss putting out another studio album. 'Cause what's the point? I mean, you just got 300 million. I mean, I'm sure they got something. Shit, I'm sure even Bruce Kulick got a few dollars. Probably not much. Eric Singer, Tommy Thayer. I mean, I don't know how much Mark St. John's estate would get just because he was only in the band for Animalize. But their last album was Kiss Live from Poughkeepsie with Mark St. John on it. So, um, I mean, I think obviously, the Kiss fan base is it's not small, but it's not huge. They're like Trump's fan base. You've got your fan base and then nothing else outside of that. So, I could see them putting out an Animalized box set. Like Live from Poughkeepsie was cool. Maybe live albums with Vinny on them, like official live albums. They're gonna turn over this catalog upside down and everything in between. Now, maybe their newest box set, which is just Creatures of the Night only, $900. That's fucking crazy. That for one box set, like that, I could see with Kiss's history. What is it? How many studio albums? Like a lot, probably 30, maybe 40. I'm not counting all the greatest hits albums, but just the one or two. It's probably 40 studio albums. You got to figure that there's probably anywhere from 2 to 5 fully recorded songs or near recorded songs for every album from Rock and Roll Over to Sonic Boom. Like that would be something you could probably charge $1,000 for. It'd be a gigantic box set. Um, but for one album, that's just fucking nuts. Like it's like, listen, it's their product; they can charge what they want. But Jesus Christ, man. Yes, Juan Furbo coming in. Welcome, Furbo. With there's a reason they don't call Juan the bouncing beaner for nothing. The funny thing is, I think he's Cuban. I mean, I like Kiss, as everyone knows. Uh, well, I disagree, Jay. I think some, like I Was Made for Loving You was great in the movie Endless Love. It fit the vibe. I think Poison's updated version of Rock and Roll All Night was pretty good in Less Than Zero. I mean, I think depending on the movie, an accurately placed Kiss song could work. I mean, Lick It Up was great in the movie Rockstar. Um, a TV show, I could see it working. I mean, I could see Beth working in a teenage romp show, like maybe at the high school prom they played Beth or something. Yeah, I mean, Ross. Sorry, but I'm reading in and out. Yeah, I mean, it's like the Fiend's skull and Motorhead's. the skull logo. I mean, Motorhead makes way more money in merch sales than they do music sales. Uh, oh, thank you, De La LaRue. I don't know if I am headlining though. I don't think there's any headlining going on here. There's only four comics that I know of on the show for sure, and that's myself, Pat Dixon, Ray Melton, and uh, I'm drawing a blank here. Melton, Dixon, Ray, and May. So four comics now. I think some local Vegas boys will be joining us. Alex Kool Aid Ansel and Adam Dominguez. So that's six. I mean, I'm assuming we're all going to do the same time. I hope you use the discount code Earl Dela. You know, Daddy needs a few shekels. Um, like Detroit Rock City would be a good song to put on a Kiss or put on a movie. Bon Jovi new album in June. John says he's got some implant and been working on rehabbing his voice. I mean, a new album. You can just Pro Tools that shit. So it'll be interesting. I hope they wrote it with Desmond Child. Yeah. Well, that's funny, Jay. That's very funny. Um, I mean, Hackmania, a lot of people, I think I've talked about this, or DMing me. How could you be anti-Dabbleverse and do what's kind of a Dabbleverse uh, um, comedy show? But, I go where the shows are. I don't, um, I'm probably not going to participate in the podcast version of Hackmania, which I'm assuming is going to be bashing someone. Earl, you see, Brennan was bashing you Saturday night, uncalled for. He sucks. What was he saying? I don't, I'm usually busy doing shows on Saturday nights, so I don't really watch any podcasts on Saturday. But, I don't really care. Like, I've never, I like Kevin, and I've said many times he's the funniest comic among us. But, it's his character. He turns on everyone at some point. Um, and I don't really. I mean, I'm curious as to when you're down to attacking me, it's over. Like, it's just I think I've often said that. I mean, I think when the win by two guy, John, who I watch his show all the time, I don't mind saying that. I think he was calling me like the most boring guy in the streaming world. It's like I've got multiple gangbang stories. I don't think I'm boring. But what are you gonna do? I think when you're attacking me, you're out of targets. Because I pretty much get along with everyone. So when you have to kind of manufacture drama with me to like keep the show going, it's not a good sign for you. But shit like that doesn't really bother me. Would I get more views right now if I just started roasting Kevin or whoever for the next 10 minutes? Probably. Uh, you know, because then that would get clipped. He sees it. We go back and forth, and people start super chatting me and super chatting him. Like, believe me, I know that if I roasted people in this stream, I'd be making a lot more money, but I don't really care. Um, so thank you, Sour Milk, for the endorsement. Uh, well, the problem is, when you attack everyone, it just gets old after a while. It becomes almost like a wrestling character. Like, I don't attack everyone. I only attack people who've wronged me. And, I'm assuming Kevin's mad I'm doing Hackmania, but like, what am I supposed to do? It's a comedy show. It's relatively close to where I live. Um, so I will make more money doing it than I spend on doing it. My biggest expense is the gas money. So um, I don't really care what other people think. And I know usually most people who say they don't care the most, but I really don't. Like I'm in a good place right now in the world. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's Kevin. You have to laugh at it. All these streams talk about the same shit. I like hearing talk about NHL and wrestling and an occasional gangbang story. Yeah, I mean that's my plan. I'm trying to get the people who are sick of the Dabbleverse talking. I mean, there's only so many ways to say Stuttering John sucks or Kevin's angry or Chad's a credit card thief or you know Steel Toe is this or Joey C is that. Win by two is this. It's just like this is a stream for you people who are sick of that talk. Ambrose Burnside, you skipped my back in the New York Groove. I didn't see that. What do you mean I skipped it? Let me look at $1.99. Oh, back in the New York Groove. Sorry about that. I just saw that. This is not a way to get you guys to super chat me more, but like when it's just all regular questions, they all look alike to me. So I do miss every now and then a question. Yeah, that's a good song. Of course, it's a cover of a Russ Ballard song, but in the back of my Cadillac, wicked lady sitting by my side saying, where were we? Stop the third and 43. Exit to the night. It's gonna be ecstasy. This place was meant for me. Ooh, I'm back. Back in the New York groove. I'm back. Back in the New York groove. Steel Toe Meltdown is epic, though. I will zip it now. I don't really watch Steel Toe anymore, so I don't know what what the meltdown is about. Racist. What is racist? Me singing New York Groove? I don't think that's racist. That's a pretty white song. I'm a man of color, Ambrose Burnside. I mean, white is a color. Hello. 3 minutes left before we end the stream. I don't ask for super chats to extend the stream. I like to keep it nice and tight, nice hour stream. And if those in the Dabbleverse world talk shit about me, I'm okay, guys. I appreciate you guys letting me know, but just doesn't really matter to me. Of course, I would love it if everyone in the Dabbleverse was like, Earl's the greatest comic of all time, but um, you know, it just doesn't. Oh yeah, I see what you're saying, Ambrose. Black Lives Matter, especially at the NFL draft. I mean, that is a Skakel classic. You said we all look alike. You're gonna come back to Austin? Maybe. I mean, it's gonna have to be a little more financially profitable for me. No problem, Jay Santos. Thank you for the super chat. I do appreciate it. But I was treated very well at the mothership and very well at Red Bands Club, the Sunset Strip, ATX. So I definitely will come back, but I'd like to line up some more shows and um, you know, I know there's something that the Vulcan Gas Company coming up with the great prime time Alex Stein. So as long as I don't lose money, I'm willing to go anywhere. Like a lot of people, my East Coast friends want to see me back at the stand in New York. So, but New York's a long trip for me. So I've got to make sure it's financially profitable. Like I'd have to line up shows, multiple shows every night, at other venues. I'm not past at the cellar. I've never even been to the cellar, so I probably can't play there. And I don't really have any interest in auditioning for it. Like they don't know me, but they don't need me, and I don't need them. So I'm happy at the stand. But it would be cool to say you're past at both the cellar and the comedy store. But I think the stand is more my style. One more minute, guys. One more minute. Now, someone sent me a super chat last night after the stream ended. I'm forgetting who it was, but thank you for the late night overtime super chat. But I had already hit end stream. So I'm going to watch a little bit of Monday Night Raw. I'm going to work out, write some jokes. And yeah, Lois is with Gail, her dog mom. So I will get Lois back in a few weeks. Uh, God willing, I miss Lois a lot. But it was very cold the last few nights, so I don't miss having to walk her when it's freezing. But Lois is about as healthy as she can be. So maybe we'll do an extra few minutes. We'll go to 105. I'll give you guys an extra 5 minutes. Um, so you'll know if Lois is in the room because you will hear her cough. Lois has a smoker's cough. Lois, I've had her since 2011, so I would guess she was at least a year old when I got her. So she's probably 13 to 14 years old, and if yeah, I like Brennan, but I don't really care, about whatever he's saying about me. Freezing in LA. Well, LA, at night it can get into the early 40s, and that's cold for us. And it's not like Winnipeg cold when I was there doing comedy with Rob Schneider. It was literally, I think the Saturday morning I woke up in Winnipeg, it was minus 21 with no wind. I mean, it was a pure minus 21. I remember when I did Edmonton with Rob, it was -9, a little bit of a wind chill, but like Winnipeg is like, I don't know how people have pets in Winnipeg. Like, I don't know how a dog goes out and goes to the bathroom. It's too fucking cold. I mean, I was bundled up like you wouldn't believe. So, but I love the comedy club in Winnipeg. I think it's called Rumors. Like you could tell, like there's Winnipeg Jets hockey and Rumors the comedy club, so the crowds are hot, and everyone knows what a schlub it is to get to Winnipeg. You have to fly into Minnesota and then uh, wait, and God knows what the weather's like. There's delays, so it's a kind of a haul to get to Winnipeg from LA. But the local comedy fans, they know like, okay, this guy's from LA. They're on your side. Like they want you to be good because they know that you probably didn't want to fly there in the first place. So I enjoyed my time in Winnipeg very much. Probably one of the coolest things that happened was somehow they knew I was a hockey fan. So when I got to my hotel room, when we got in from the airport, uh, and I opened up the door, and there is a Earl Skakel Winnipeg Jets game worn jersey made for me. So I thought that was pretty cool. Um, and I hope to come back when I could headline. I don't have any merch, so um, I got to get paid really well to want to leave my cubbyhole of the Los Angeles Earlverse streaming world. But I do appreciate you guys. We've got 2 minutes left. And when it hits 1 hour and 5 minutes, I don't say goodbye. I don't hit the plugs. I just hit end stream and we are donezo, baby dolls. So I'll do the plugs now. Let me get my little keyboard out. It's very easy to follow me anywhere on earth on all social media. It's just my name at Earl Skakel. And if you are going to Hackamania, the Hackamania code for 20% off is very simple. Earl. It's pretty simple, guys. 1 minute. So fire off those questions, guys. Fire them questions off ASAP. Now, tomorrow night, I can't do a stream at 5 p.m. because I will be going to Jax's bar to live watch The Valley. And last week, Jax requested a game worn Skakel jersey that will hang forever in the bar. So, outside of getting my name on the wall at the comedy store, to get a game worn Earl Skakel jersey in Jax's sports bar in Studio City is one of the great accomplishments of my life. Accomplishments, not accomplices. This week I'll be at the comedy store, probably Saturday night, 12:15. We get our schedule tomorrow. So, oh my God, I'll just have to do a stream tomorrow, maybe when Kevin Brennan is live. I'm sure he's shaking in his boots that I might steal 14 listeners from him. But you know what? Welcome to fucking Hollywood, baby. Earl Skakel, Earlverse stream, Monday night. Sean Odell, I can't end the stream. Sean Odell is the one who gave me a late super chat last night. This is your blast from last night. Sean Odell, I forget what you said, to be honest with you. $1.99.